All right, y'all, we back with another one, man. And today I want to settle this debate on lights, man, because I feel like in the gun community, we're very divided as opposed to, wanting to stick together, And I feel like a lot of these old timers and stuff like that, and it may not be all of them, but a lot of times they come out and say things, as if this is still the 70s and the 80s, when times have changed when it comes to pretty much technology and anything else out here. We don't go by the same things we used to go by back in the day. And I feel like, a lot of times people just want stuff to say for attention. And, the way I look at it, how you rock your gun is pretty much how you rock anything else. Cars, clothes, your style. Your gun is your style. So how you want to dress your gun and what you decide to do to it, if you don't decide to do anything to it, is completely up to you. Which is why I always tell you guys, man, y'all good with me either way. If you do like Glocks, if you don't like Glocks, if you do like lights, if you don't like lights, hell, even if you don't like holsters, I wouldn't recommend that. But I've seen some people that don't like holsters. That's to each his own. If that's how you want to carry, that's how you want to carry. I highly 100, 1000% don't recommend that. But believe it or not, there's people out there that don't like holsters, And at the end of the day, I see a lot of people talking down about weapon attachments, whether it's irrelevant or not, whether it's, effective or not. And to be honest, man, I don't really care what you do. When you're asking me personally, I'm going to tell you all the time, I don't care what you decide to do with your firearm. If you want to put, a million different attachments on your gun or your AR, you want to put 5 or 6 different scopes on there, then be my guest, man. If that's how you want to rock your stuff, that's how you want to do it. There is a such thing as overkill. I do feel like you could overdo it, especially when it comes to rifles. Maybe not so much as pistols, but for me, I like to keep it simple. I wasn't really big on flashlights, but I do see a lot of people talking down on it and optics and stuff like that. The way I look at it, you got to do what's best for you, what works for you. If you train a lot and you want to get better with, a dot, then buy a dot. If you want to get better with iron sights, just rock your iron sights, because I was nowhere near on to dots when I first started shooting. And I've been pretty much heavily shooting now for like the last 3 years. I've been taking it very serious, and each year I've just been taking a little bit more and more serious and going to the range a little more often and stuff like that. So I just started getting into dots maybe like about a year ago. Probably a little bit more than a year ago, maybe more like 2 years ago. But, I've really been taking it serious now because I want to get better with shooting and things like that. So I feel like, it is easier to pick up a dot opposed to, iron sights. But iron sights are not bad either. You can't go wrong with iron sights. As you can see here, I got the iron sights and the dot. And all in all, you can still practice with the iron sights on this because it cold witnesses so well. So in a situation like that is why I like to always cold witness my iron sights with the or plastic sights. Y'all probably won't get me in the comments for that, but whatever. You know what I mean. I like to cold witness my sights with the dot always, because if the dot ever gives out on you, as you can see there, you can still use your sights with no issues at all. It lines up just perfect. So not all dots are like that. Some you have to upgrade the sights to the high sights if you still want to cold witness. But as you can see, this dot got a low profile. It sits low, just right up on the slide. So you could just look right through the window and see your front post with no issues. But like I said, man, I feel like you can't go wrong with either or, and the same goes for flashlights. Most people don't want to put lights on the guns because they think it's too much. I was one of those guys. I wasn't really a fan of it. Felt like it was just too much. But after rocking with lights and trying them out for the first time, I actually don't know if I would have a pistol without a light on it. And who cares about being tactical and all of that, man? I know everybody jokes about these guys out here wearing vests and going to the range with all this training gear on and stuff like that. It is funny to me, but I could care less about that, honestly. I just like the way it looks, if we're being honest, And they have holsters that are light bearing now, so that way you can just rock the light. You don't have to get rid of it. You can leave the light on there. But all in all, for me, I like the light. Like I said, I just like the way it looks. You never know when you might need it, believe it or not. It could be situations where it could help you out, especially if you're at home at nighttime. 9 times out of 10, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen in the night. So this will definitely help you, opposed to turning your lights on. You won't even have to turn your lights on if you have a light on your gun. That's just one scenario out of a million other scenarios that could possibly take place, and it might never happen, but who's to say it won't or it will? In today's world, you really don't know. Now, like I said, if we're being honest, I just also like the way it looks. Gives the gun a real nice look, opposed to just having that empty rail right there. I don't know. That's just me. This is my preference. So if you don't like it, you don't got to watch this video. Hell, you don't even have to like it. But I'm just telling you guys and giving you my 100% honest truth. I like the way it looks, and also it gives it another point of contact for me when I shoot. I'm able to grip onto the light. It just gives me another point of contact when I shoot the gun. So that's another thing. And lastly, like I said, yeah, it makes the gun look good, another point of contact, and lastly, it just adds weight to the front. So when you shoot, believe it or not, it'll keep that muzzle down. A lot of people might not know that, but especially if you got one of these big bulky lights, like, you know, the Olight Turbo or the Surefire X300, it's definitely going to keep that muzzle rise down when you're shooting at the range. You might not notice it, but it will, because I've shot the gun with the light and without the light, and it was not a whole lot of a difference, but definitely noticeable. What is going on with me today? Definitely noticeable. So yeah, if we're being honest, those are just some of the benefits of a light that most people won't think about, but are quick to argue that, you know, having a light is irrelevant. So a dot or a light, whatever, none of it is irrelevant in my opinion, because you never know when you might need either one. You know, in a real life situation, when it comes to a dot, are you going to have time to look through the window? Probably not. You know, it's probably going to be all muscle memory if you're going to get into a self-defense situation where you have to shoot, you know, and you have an attacker or whatever the case may be. You know, it's going to probably be all muscle memory more than likely. You're probably not going to have time to look through the dot and be able to, you know, track down your target. But when it comes to target practice and range training and things like that, yeah, obviously a dot is going to make a hell of a lot difference, especially once you get used to finding it, because a lot of people like me had trouble finding the dot, and, you know, a lot of times it could be a little challenging if you don't know the technique. And I'm not a professional in any kind of way. I'm still learning how to use the dot. You know, I'm still not 100%, and I probably won't be for a long time. But at the end of the day, at least I know I can do irons or dots now. Whereas though before I was only an iron guy, so put a dot on me on a gun and give it to me to shoot, I wouldn't know the first thing is aim. And I thought that, you know, you just aim the dot and shoot wherever. But, you know, you got to zero it in. You got to make sure cold witness is, for the most part. Some people don't prefer it. I do prefer cold witness. And also, you know, you have to train yourself to find the dot and put that dot where you want it at. So there's a lot that goes into shooting with a dot. It's not just, oh, point and shoot, until you actually get used to it. And then it becomes a little bit more home-like feeling, like with the irons. You know, if you're familiar with irons and you know, you take a gun out of the box and you shoot it with the irons, and you already know 9 times out of 10, once you get used to the sights, you'll line them up just right and it'll be night and day for you, opposed to shooting with a dot. But if you're used to both, then now you got the best of both worlds. So see what I mean, guys? Like, this is a lot of ways to look at things, but can't really listen to what other people are saying. A lot of people are just talking out the side of their neck nowadays because they just want something to talk about. And you know, it just is what it is. You like what you like. I really don't care either way. If you like attachments or if you don't, just being able to arm yourself is good enough for me. You know, you don't have to have all this stuff on your guns. You know, this is truly a preference, you know, which is what most people need to understand, that because you don't like it doesn't mean that everybody else is not going to like it. If that's your preference, if you don't like weapon lights and attachments, optics, you know, whatever the case is, you know, then just don't like it. Doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, people are going to like what they like, you know. And from the way things are going in the YouTube community and the gun community, I see a lot more people with weapon attachments on shorts and videos than I don't. So, and that debate, I will say that, you know, the people who believe that lights are obsolete are obviously losing in this battle when it comes to debating on if it's necessary or not. And I for me, it's up for debate however you want to see it. You know, that's just my argument on it. You know, this video is basically my argument towards anybody who feels like weapon lights and optics and stuff like that is irrelevant. You know, will I put optics on all my guns? Probably not, but a good majority of them will have optics, and a good majority of them are gonna have lights. Probably all of them, if we're being honest. Like I said, it just gives me a third point of contact, and it just helps it easier for me to grip the pistol. Like I said, it's better. It's more of those things where it's just better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And we all know how far that saying goes. So, yeah, man, I don't want to push this topic out too much longer. Just thought I'd give my 2 cents on it because I see a lot of people bashing weapon attachments and things like that. But listen, man, either way you good with me, I really don't care. I'm just giving y'all my 2 cents on it. But what do I know? Hit me up in the comments, man. Y'all already know I'll get back to y'all as soon as I can. Otherwise, I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Y'all already know. Be safe as always.